Hey, babe. Welcome to Boss Less, Babe More. This is your go-to podcast for burnout girlies ready to align their brand and business. I'm Grace, alignment coach and Akashic record reader.
And I'm Rekha, designer and brand strategist. Together, we're here to share what it really takes to build a brand and business that feels aligned, supportive, and actually sustainable.
Get valuable insight from two recovering boss babes and a chance to sit in the hot seat so you can receive on-the-spot brand clarity or coaching from women who get it.
Not to mention, exclusive invites to our brand rebirth intensives and retreats.
So if you're ready to unboss a little, soften a lot, and build a life and brand that reflects something real,
We are overjoyed to welcome you to our wholesome, quirky, and wildly transformational corner of the internet.
Hey cutie patooties, welcome back to this week's episode where we'll be closing out our cyclical living conversations. If you have been enjoying all of this awesome femme-centric content, please don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. And today we're going to be talking about birth control, which is such a fun and controversial topic. What is our personal lived experiences with birth control? Because I think that one, every woman on the face of this earth has had to deal with figuring out what their birth control is going to be, and then also dealing with side effects or just there's so much responsibility placed onto women these days about you're the one that's responsible for birth control. So
Yep.
let's talk about it. Let's unpack this a little bit. So yeah, I'm curious if you would like to
Yeah,
bring
I'll
us
go
in
first. A lot of you guys know that I came to the US when I was 18. And basically, what had happened was I was living in a society where socialized medicine and access to medicine was very different than in the US. And basically, when I moved here, uh, not immediately, but pretty quickly got on birth control. And it was uh, kind of this. I honestly don't remember the exact details because it's been so long ago, but I remember my mom feeling like this was the best decision she could make with me, even though there wasn't a whole lot of conversation or options or what I could do. And she's a doctor, so it wasn't like lack of education or knowledge on her part about anatomy or cycles or any of that stuff. She's actually quite the natural type of person. Yet it was just this thing of like, for safety, for me to be in another country, it was just easier to say, yeah, you should be on some sort of birth control because you don't know what's going to happen to you. And even from the perspective of not necessarily that you're in a committed relationship and you're not ready to have a kid, but from the perspective of what if you get raped on the street, what's going to happen to you. And so for me, it was kind of this unconscious, off we go, this is the best way to protect yourself. But like you've said, which I think is the most important part, is that we are responsible for this and women are responsible for this. And if I had kids and I had boys, my God, this would be the most important conversation. Like, it is not, why is this my responsibility to constantly pay for this, to take care of this? Like, so much more money invested into this than I think men really realize. But I stuck with that. I have been on birth control all my life. And I am actually an example of, I've tried a couple of different ones over time for different reasons, but I don't even know what I'm on right now, what the name of the medicine is. But I am actually fairly lucky that I don't have side effects that are affecting so many women with their just hormonal imbalances, right? Like if you think about the weight gain or skin issues or whatever. Actually, I know some people say, they'll take it so it clears their skin. I didn't have that either way. It just seems to be a pretty okay medicine for me. But I personally kind of do hate it. I do hate that this is a thing that is like my responsibility and something I have to do. So from time to time, I think there could be a different way. And then from time to time, I also think it's a really easy and um, it's just an automated choice for me now, you know? So it's something that I've always done. I think I understand my mother's perspective. I think I understand people who do it this way. I also think that with that, I should be left alone and be allowed to purchase this and do this and continue doing this for however long I want to or desire to. So access to it or taking away the access, I think is like what's really kind of stinging me the most at this moment in time. Like, where are we headed with this? Because, yeah, I can look into other options or do different things, but I'm at the age too where I'm like, this is what I've always known. This is what I do. And I would just prefer that nobody fucks with it, you know? Like, don't take away my right to it. Don't complicate the prices of it. Don't make it this impossible thing where I'm jumping through 5,000 loops to protect myself where nobody else is literally interested in protecting myself, especially if I had a kid, because just, we're not going to get political, but look around the world. Children are not priorities. So I would be totally fucked, you know, if that is something that comes through. So my lived experience is the pill, and I have been lucky enough that it didn't cause me any issues that I had to run to try other options. But as a person who likes cleaner products and definitely different things, we can get into that a little bit with products afterwards if you want to chat about that. It is something that bothers me that I'm putting this into my body on a regular basis. But then it's also like, I've done it all this time. What's the harm now, you know? Gotta die of something.
Yeah, if it ain't broke.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. Well, I have questions
Oh.
about your experience because I've actually never been on hormonal birth control ever. And so I have curiosity about, were you on it whenever you left Hungary and then had to, or did you start it whenever you came to the United States?
I started in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So in high school, while I would love to say I was extremely sexually active and super cool and all that, I wasn't. I had one boyfriend and I think we had sex twice, and my God, it was a fucking disaster. But we used condoms, which also, dear God, so unpleasant. And then I moved to the States. So I never was on it in Hungary. And then the first, I genuinely do not know the year I went on birth control regularly, to be totally honest with you. But while I was here, the first few years, I did have a boyfriend, but not immediately. And it wasn't until I was in a committed regular relationship with a boyfriend where it was like, okay, this is something to be discussed. So mostly it was condoms and not like oral contraceptives.
Yeah. And do you feel like there was ever an issue with you getting the birth control, or was there a lot of cost out of pocket? Was there any kind of refusal or any kind of complications that you went through just trying to get the birth control that you were needing?
You know, the thing I can remember back, and I just wish I don't have any kind of records of this. My very vague memory is that I was dating this guy in Cincinnati, and I was not on the birth control, and the condom broke, and he called his mom panicking, and I called my mom panicking in Hungary, and she said, you can go and get a Plan B pill. And that was the first time I've ever heard of that. And he was so sweet. He came to Planned Parenthood with me. We're both like fucking terrified. Like, what is this thing? You know, we're like babies, little like 20-year-old babies or something. And it was through Planned Parenthood that I was like, oh, this is the thing I can get. This is so, because I was a student at the time, I think all of it was out of pocket. I didn't have insurance I had insurance, like health insurance for like emergency. And if I had to go to the doctor for something serious, I could submit the claim, and then it would be like months and months and months before they reconciled with the Hungarian insurance company. But basically, it was like, don't get sick, don't do anything stupid, like probably how most people live right now in America regarding health insurance. But through Planned Parenthood, I got it, and I remember it being not insanely expensive to maintain it. Like it wasn't this thing that even though I didn't have insurance, I could do it. So, and then later as I got insurance, or in the state of Ohio, I'm not sure how all of it is here everywhere in the US, but it was basically free. And I would get like 3 month supplies. And then I think it's a yearly I have to be. I think it's every 12 months that a gynecologist has to see you. And then even though you don't see them, the thing gets re-upped, but every year they have to still see you face to face. So like that just happened. I just saw my doctor and then it got re-upped. So now I can just go into the pharmacy, they refill it. But even then, the financials of it wasn't that insanely expensive. So I don't know what some other people's experience is or how it is affected with or without insurance for everybody. But I remember as a kid thinking, oh, it's not that hard. But that was also 20 years ago. I think we are definitely a very different side of the equation now regarding birth control and what we want women to be able to do with their bodies.
Yeah.
So I think it has for sure changed. Like in my memory, I don't remember thinking, my God, I'm just a college kid. It's so fucking expensive to have birth control. I remember thinking back like, oh, okay, this is something that protects me. It makes sense, you know? Especially with a college kid mindset, like $20 was so much fucking money in college. Like, what? I can't afford it.
Cheaper than a kid.
Right. So if my brain doesn't recollect that being insanely expensive, I think it must have been something that was way way better structured 20 years ago.
And whenever you were in high school, not sexually active, not being cool,
Definitely not cool.
was that something that was talked about with like protection, birth control? Was that like a
Yeah.
common thing, or was
Yeah,
it
in my
hush
family,
hush?
no, in my family it was. So my parents are both doctors, retired doctors now, but both doctors. So, and we grew up on nudist beaches. So, like body shapes, sizes, all sorts of body functions were like so normal and so discussed in our family where I've seen my parents naked more times than I would like to admit. You know, it's like just this is what it is. And that allowed for a lot of conversations about what is this, what is happening to our body. And my mom was always really honest and open about it. So when I had my first boyfriend, she was like, I just want to let you know this is something you really need to think about because it will alter your life for the rest of your life. But teen pregnancies are really not, I should have looked up some stats beforehand. I actually don't know what they are now in Hungary, but it's not super high or super common. I think people get pretty decent education from their parents, from school, from peers. I assume now with the internet, it's even hopefully maybe better. So if you can't ask your parents, you at least have, somebody to ask on the internet. But we were pretty well educated, and then it was like, oh, okay, so the first line of defense will be that if I have sex, we'll just use a condom. Like it was just kind of wasn't okay, you're gonna go on birth control immediately because now you're sexually active. It was like, okay, you're experimenting, you have a boyfriend, you guys are very cute together, and also at the end of the day, we went home. It wasn't like, I don't know how kids party these days, but we didn't really, even if we had like a house party or we went to someone's place, like our parents picked us up where we had to go home by midnight or very limited time for you to be insanely sexually active at all times. It's like the chances for you. I remember the first time we had sex, it was like, oh my God, I was allowed to stay overnight at a friend's house after the party because she lived so close. Like that's how it happened. Because otherwise I would have gone home, like you're not going to be fucking on someone's couch between 8 and 9 p.m. just to get it out of the way. Like, hell no. Or maybe some people did. I don't know. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't cool. But there was a lot of education, a lot of conversation around it, but it was pretty clear that like regular medication wasn't going to be the immediate first thing. Then I think the fact that I came over here became a completely different conversation, right? Like my parents' ability to protect me or have control over me or in any way, shape, or form help. Not even control. I'm making them sound way meaner than they are. Just that level of extra protection or safety or I'm here for you is 18 hours apart and 3,000 miles apart and thousands of dollars apart for them to be able to send you something, to put you on a plane, to for them to hop on a plane. So in a lot of sense, I think when my mom said this is the route we should take, I was like, okay, that I understand why you're saying that. I was like, yep, I guess here we go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I understand the safety aspect, and it's like, okay, you just have to take this pill every day. It's
Yeah.
not that there's all these other involved factors or variables that you as a, 19-year-old?
Yeah, maybe 20, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like would have to. So kind of as a parent, I could see how it's like just take this pill and
Mm-hmm.
like it'll be easy,
Yeah,
it's
that's the
safe,
easy
it's
button.
done. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that makes a lot of sense, especially whenever it is like, okay, it's an 18-hour plane ride and 3,000 miles.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just take this pill.
Yes.
Okay.
Please tell me you can handle this one thing.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that that's something that parents will often
Yeah.
kind of push, because also it is so commonplace as it's a widely accepted form of birth control. I
Yep.
mean, condoms, yeah, sure, very widely accepted, but also birth control seems kind of like a more surefire way to avoid the unwanted situation of pregnancy. So
Mm-hmm.
while it doesn't necessarily like combat potential transfer of sexually transmitted
Yeah.
infections or diseases, it still is a huge level of
Mm-hmm.
protection. I also was not a cool kid. I was not having sex in high school. But my parents thought I was.
So you were cool then.
No, not really at all, actually. I was such a nerdy kid. I was a band geek, I was a
Mm.
band geek. Although I will say that of all the little niched groups of people in high school, the band geeks were probably some of the most sexually active.
I have heard that before. They just go to town like they are all over each
I
other.
mean, it's really kind of a family that gets created. You work so much with one another, and it's kind of an intimate thing,
Mm-hmm.
being in band. So
I
I
love
can
it.
understand why, you know,
They would have assumed that
yeah.
you are, yeah.
Well, I think they assumed just because I don't even really know.
You think the age, like, okay, she's
They
developing into a
really
woman.
thought that I was having sex. I mean, I was dating somebody at the time, but my mom, I remember her pulling me aside, and my sister had already gone on birth control, but it was really just to manage period cramps.
Mm.
But my mom really just thought that I was having sex with the guy that I was dating at the time. And she was like, I think we need to put you on birth control. And I was like, I think not.
Mm.
Because there was something in me where I was like, I just don't feel like that's the right thing. It didn't make sense. I was like, why am I putting hormones in my body whenever my body is still trying to figure itself out? I had really weird cycles. I was bleeding like every 2 weeks
Oh my gosh.
for like several years, which I never even talked about to my family, because it was just like,
This is the beginning.
this
Who
is just
knows?
what it
Yeah.
is. Yeah. So I just thought, okay, well, I'm just still, my body is getting regulated and all of these things. But I wasn't sexually active anyway. I had the fear of God beat into me. My family is super religious. So I did not.
That always works out so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was literally afraid to hold hands because you know what that leads to.
Oh my God, no,
So, yeah.
really?
Yeah. So I just kind of avoided any kind of
Did your boyfriend know all, like, your background?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that robs the child of like such joy and like, when your fingers are tingling and you're just like so excited to see your other person and you pass a note to them, like to for that to be overshadowed by like the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah,
Like I just
I was really afraid of eternal damnation. So and I had my little purity ring. Like I was so deep in purity culture, and that I was like, no, I can't even really participate in any of these things. And so I didn't lose my virginity until I was like 20 years old, and I did have fear whenever I started becoming sexually active because I was worried about pregnancy. And at the time, I didn't really have a lot of education around what could prevent pregnancy other than hormonal birth control and taking the pill. But something about it just really did not feel right for me. So we went for condoms because
Mm-hmm.
that's, the easy to access
Mm-hmm.
birth control. And that the first time I had sex was actually the way that I realized I was allergic to latex.
Me
So
too. I didn't know we had this in common. I love this.
just learning so much about one
Oh,
another. So that part sucked. And I didn't even realize that there were other varieties of condoms that were non-latex that wouldn't cause
right.
irritation. Like none of this information was available to me at the time. Really, I just thought that abstinence was the only way.
Mm-hmm.
And that really mentally fucked me up for a really long time. Like I had like religious sexual trauma for a very long time about like, okay, well, you're damned to hell if you
Yeah.
are allowing for your flesh to
Yeah.
do those sinful things.
Yeah.
And so there were a couple of like scares with like taking plan B, but it was
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't even know like, well, is like one drop gonna cause a
Right.
problem? Like I had no education about like,
Right.
well, am I good or am I not? Like you pulled out or whatever, right?
Right.
Like
Right.
I had no comprehension of where the line in the sand was for like safe versus not safe. And so I kind of stopped having sex for a minute with that partner because we both were like, we just, like, nothing felt safe. Like, having sex
Mm.
did not feel safe. But it was because of a lack of education
Right.
that it didn't feel safe. And then I ended up moving into completely unsafe sex where it was just, no condoms, nothing. Just, I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm ovulating in the middle of the month somewhere, so I won't have sex during that period of time. And conveniently, I am pretty sure that my partner at that time was infertile. So there
Mm.
was like I at some point I should have probably gotten pregnant
Yeah.
for realsies. Like I'm amazed that I've never ever caught the pregnant because I was so uh
Lackadaisical about it.
yeah, just whatever, it's fine. I trust this person. It's fine. Bad idea.
Don't do that, guys.
Don't do that. And then I started training for being a red tent facilitator. I went through some trainings with Kim and Nami. I went through just really wanting to get to know what my body was doing, which is when I became introduced to the fertility awareness method, which is a natural form of birth control, which basically is tracking your cycle with a basal body thermometer, which is different than a regular temperature thermometer. It has 2 decimal points on it, so it's getting really precise temperature measurements that allow you to know whenever you have spikes in your temperature, which lets you know that you're ovulating. So once you go through many months of tracking your cycle, then you can start seeing where the patterns are of like, okay, I always ovulate on day 13 of my cycle or whatever it is, right? And that really gives you safety and freedom to be able to know what days are more risky for having a potential pregnancy happen, and what days you're completely clear and you don't need to have the fear around that. Because like having fear constantly of like
Oh
getting
yeah.
pregnant while you're having sex totally takes the joy of having sex away. And then this is the other thing with the fertility awareness method, though. So you basically are taking your temperature via your basal body thermometer every morning before you do anything, before you roll over, before you take a drink of water, before you take a pee, before you rip the blankets off. Like, you take your temperature. So you start knowing this is exactly where I am in my cycle. But fertility awareness method suggests that you should not be intimate on like the 5 to 6 days leading up to ovulation, and then obviously don't have sex when you're ovulating. But those are the times that we want to have sex.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of frustrating in that regard, where it's like, okay, biologically this is where like we're designed to be enjoying sex the most,
Mm-hmm.
and this method of birth control is saying you can have sex anytime except for the time that you want to have
How
sex the
about when
most.
you look your worst and feel disgusting and all
That's
bloated?
when you're supposed to have sexy time.
Got it.
Got
Got it.
it. Great. So that's whenever I started also using Wise Woman's Choice birth control cream. So that is and I'm an affiliate of their company, which is, it's an amazing company. It's woman owned. We've talked about this before, but it is a birth control cream that is a coagulant. So on those days that you're fertile, or on the days leading up to ovulation, these are the days that you would be using Wise Woman's Choice birth control cream. And it is really just, you take about a peanut sized amount, you put it in, and then it's good per ejaculation, and it coagulates the sperm so it can't swim.
Hmm.
So basically, you can still enjoy having sex, and it's 99% effective. You can have the rest assured, you can leave your fear at the bedroom door, and still be able to enjoy having sex whenever you are highly fertile. So that's how I do my birth control now. But I mean, it has been such an interesting road of needing to find the education and then implement the education. And it does take a lot of effort. Like, I don't know how it is for you. I feel like I would probably struggle to remember to take a pill every morning at the exact same time.
Oh, try to travel and figure out the 6 hour time difference. I'm on the plane right now, so this would be like what time zone and what hour should I take it now or like an hour later?
Yeah.
And then when I'm overseas, quite. It's like okay, 2 in the morning. I guess I gotta take it. It's dumb. It's
That's,
super dumb.
yeah, insane. And I mean, it's kind of funny because, like, for you, that is this automatic choice at this point. It's so habitual of like, this is, I just take the pill every day. For me, it's like I roll over and take my temperature every morning, and then I write it on a chart. Because, okay, here's another thing with the fertility awareness method. A lot of the basal body thermometers are synced up via Bluetooth to apps on your phone.
Oh
So it'll
no.
immediately take that temperature read and throw it into the app on your phone. But you really don't want to do that, because you are allowing for your data to be harvested. And then also, just because of the war on our bodies right now, it's actually not a safe thing for you to be
Yeah.
recording any of your fertility data into an app. That information can be used against you if you have a miscarriage, or if you need to utilize an abortion, or, I mean, they're just
Yeah. Pen and paper, guys.
pen and paper. Also, I am attaching a link for charts that you can just print off in the description. So if you want to try doing the fertility awareness method, but you don't want your information going on an app, just look in the description. I'm attaching a link so that you can print off your own charts. You will have to go and do your own research on all of the inner workings of the fertility awareness method if you want to go in that direction. But um, A resource that I would recommend would be Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Tony Weschler. That is an amazing book for conscious family planning, for natural birth control. But it's an amazing book. Would highly, highly recommend. It teaches you how to do all of your tracking. So the fertility awareness method kind of uses the three different uh, aspects to help you know exactly where your body is at any point in your cycle. So one, you have your basal body temperature. And then two, you have your cervical mucus. And then three, you have your cervical positioning. So it teaches you how to navigate, like, okay, well, what does my temperature chart need to look like? Like, how do I read it? And then also, how do I know where I'm at in my cycle based on my cervical secretions, also cervical positioning? Because it does change throughout your cycle.
Mm-hmm.
It changes a lot. And so, if you are using the fertility awareness method, the nice thing about it is that while it takes a little bit more time to do your charting, to do your checking and all that good stuff, it's not quite as easy as just popping a pill.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get to really build a relationship to your body and your womb space, which is really beautiful. But it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it does take significant effort. And for me, I'm like, I don't know why, but it seems harder to take a pill. But
Yeah.
also, this is more of like my automated habitual actions around
Right.
my birth control, whereas like that's your automated habitual
Mm-hmm.
actions around the way that you do birth control. So there's really no right or wrong. It's like, what is actually going to work better for you in your situation and lifestyle.
Exactly. And I think that's what's most important about putting this episode out there. Grace's method is not better than my method. My method is not better than hers or anybody else's.
Yeah.
You know, possibly maybe scaring people with Jesus is the bad method, but everybody should have sex and enjoy sex, and I think that part is silly. But it is the education part. I think you mentioned this, like as a kid, feeling like you don't have enough education and it didn't feel safe. Thank God you were smart enough to say like, okay, I'm not doing it, because you would be sitting here with maybe a very different lifestyle. But that's that's I think what's crucial and missing in the world. Like we cannot emphasize like do your own research, get the books, do the things. Don't believe everything that is being spoon fed to you. And even what we're saying here, just two extremely limited options of what our lives are like. There are millions of other women with other problems, with other things that people treat differently, right? Like so do your own research and definitely look into it and be informed, and don't be afraid to ask questions, because this is really really important, whether you want to have kids or don't want to have kids, both ways. And I know people who are trying and trying for months, and I know people who can't have them. I know people who didn't want to have them and had them, like all of these scenarios. Like what is it that you want? What is the awareness, right?
Absolutely. And I think that this is stuff that's just not talked about often enough,
No.
because I think that we do usually just have this idea in our minds of like, well, my only options are either hormonal birth control or a barrier method like a condom or
Yeah.
a diaphragm.
Yeah.
And then there are just issues that can arise. I mean, I know people who have used hormonal birth control and then they decided that they wanted to get off of it, and their partner no longer smelled good to them anymore.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and
I've
then
heard
they
those too.
ended up like the relationship didn't work out. I got off my birth control and suddenly I'm not interested in my partner
Yeah,
anymore. And
which actually goes into another thing that I mentioned earlier, is your decision to do what you're doing allows you to be very in tune with your body, very much aware of your, not to say that I'm not aware of my cycles, right? But there is just this natural component to it, right? And I
mm-hmm.
think that's another piece of it too, is like, okay, I choose to take the pill, but there is nothing going into my body that is, um, like I buy all of my tampons in Europe, and I
Yeah.
fly back with boxes and boxes, and my partner is just like, what what are we doing? And I was like, we need to buy 12 boxes of tampons, Like, I don't know when I'm
Yeah,
going back home again.
exactly.
And it's just because the European Union is so strict on, it's wildly known on all sorts of ingredients in our food and whatever stuff that is allowed in the American um, ecosystem is insane. And one of them is tampons. And I really like using tampons. And it's just the shit ingredients that are in it are absolutely mind blowing. And that's up your vagina for like hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours, and then years and years and years when you're doing it for however many years. So that's one thing that's a non-negotiable. I've never ever put an American tampon in my vagina.
God bless you. Seriously, yeah, I quit using tampons just because I was so concerned about the toxicity of them.
Yep.
And then, two, the waste, like the plastic
Yeah.
applicators. And
We don't have any of that. You just wash your hands. Why is that
yeah,
so hard to do? I
yeah.
don't. The first time I saw one of those, I was like, I genuinely don't know what to do with this. This looks insane. And the designs, I use OB, and the OB tampons with that swirl thing and whatever. I had never had a string not work. Like, I'm just the whole entire thing. I'm like, this is beautifully designed. It's like almost 100% foolproof, like not gonna bleed all over, because I know I have not used period underwear, for example, but I've heard like that's not quite the right solution either, and it's just not as straightforward as I think. The concept is really clever, but it's from two people. I've only known two people that used it and shared their experience. They said it wasn't as easy, but yeah, all of the plastic, all of the trash, all of the, like, it's just insane.
I now only use period underwear for the most part. But it does not work for everybody. I'm not like a super duper heavy bleeder,
Mm,
but if my flow were heavier, I mean, I use like 2 to 3 pairs a day, and usually I can get one to last like most of the day, and then in the evening I'll wash up and change into another pair. And it is nice because it's less expensive. I mean, the underwear, they're like $25, $35 a pop usually, but then, you're only wearing them like once a month,
right.
and you have like tons of pairs of them, so like you can keep them for many years. But I was just talking to my sister about this actually the other day. I was like, I wonder if the period underwear that I'm using is actually completely toxin free.
Oh boy.
Because there's been issues with period panties that have chemicals in them that are
Mm,
still, like, it's the absorbency crystals or whatever is in it that also emits toxic
mm,
stuff, and it's like right up against your genitals all day long for a week.
mm,
And then also every once in a while, I used to use these a lot more, but I would use either a Diva cup or a soft
mm-hmm.
cup. I preferred the soft cups because they kind of go in vertically and hook
Yeah,
over top of your cervix and
yeah.
suction to the front wall of your vagina, and then it catches everything. And then you just rinse it out every several hours and then insert it back in. So you're using the same cup throughout your entire period, and then you discard it after your period. And then the Diva cups, I had a hard time with the Diva cups because they just stayed in a little too good, and then I would try to pull them out, and it was like really hard to get them out, and then it would like
Yeah,
be blood splatter everywhere.
I had the same experience. And the sanitizing them and keeping them clean.
Yeah, it's
I
like
don't know
it
who the fuck told you that you can just
just
boil
boil
it in
it.
water. I'm like, that shit smells so badly. No, thank you.
I was like, I
I'm
can't,
not
it
reinserting
just
this. This is
smells like
disgusting.
nasty meat or something.
Yeah, I was like, so I love my body and thank you, period, and I appreciate the cycles, but it's like, I don't know what else to boil it in. You gotta be kidding me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could not keep it clean enough and not smelly. And people are like, oh, just boil it in water. I'm like, wow, your vagina must be a different vagina because mine is not producing the same cup at the end of my period. So yeah, that didn't work for me either.
But yeah, it's so interesting hearing what women use, just because I think that we all deal with similar issues. I mean, it wasn't until what, 2022, that period products were being tested with menstrual blood. Isn't that insane?
That is insane. Do you remember the commercials with the blue, like gel looking thing?
Yeah.
That would be like, my blood does not look like that. I genuinely remember as a kid thinking, why is this way?
Yeah,
Like
when
this
they're
is
like
not,
pouring it on the pad and it's like,
it's not the color and it's not the consistency. That's not what it is at all whatsoever.
I know,
And we're all cool
what
with it.
about the chunks? What do we do with the chunks? Where do the chunks go?
Well, guys don't want to look at the chunks, so they don't want to know. No, it's insane.
It
Totally
is
insane.
insane. Yeah, and I think that that's another patriarchal oversight on like what is acceptable, and you should have all of this shame. Like we can't even show period blood because it's so shameful. Like why we can't advertise it that way. We got to use this blue detergent.
Yeah.
That looks like magical.
Yeah, I remember in our commercials it was this clear blue gel looking thing, and I'm like, that is wild that we can just not say what it is or show what it is. I did not know about the testing until 2022, but that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It is. And also I had no idea that this existed until like a week ago because I was talking about this episode to my sister. We were just talking about like forms of birth control, and then we got on the topic of period care. But she took a training for peristeam hydrotherapy, so yoni steams, pelvic steams, things like that. And this was part of her training where they were talking about natural, non-toxic forms of period care and sea sponges.
Love.
Who knew? I want to try them out now.
Yes. So we should try some products.
We're going to try all the products out.
And tell everybody, this is what worked, this is what didn't work. We'll let you know,
guys. We'll let you know what the best products are. Because, yeah, like, just like with the tampons you were talking about, with the OB tampons, those ones open up and unfurl in a way that actually catches everything. You don't have issues with leakage or the string breaking or fill in the blank. Right? And because not all shapes work the same way. Like,
exactly.
My vagina is shaped a certain way that it's like certain shapes of tampons, it'll be blood on one side of it, and then you pull it out, nothing on the other side, but I'm still leaking. Why?
Bad design. Maybe a dude designed it.
You know what? I think you're onto something here.
I don't want to be a man hater. But I was thinking that in closing, I found this really, really cool thing online from this lady that I want to share about all of the cyclical living and the cycles and just how so much of what we already know has been lost. So I wanted to read you guys something from this lady called Stella.Porta on Instagram. You can find her and find all of her citations to all of her claims. So this is not just mumbo jumbo. But she says the Gregorian calendar was a political invention created by popes, perfected by emperors, and divorced from the myths that women once lived by. For thousands of years, time was lunar, 13 moons, 28 days each. And if you think you multiply up to 13 by 28, that's 364. So you add your one holy day. There's your year. A calendar kept by wombs and waters, not clocks. This wasn't superstition, it was synchronization. The moon regulated agriculture, ritual, and rest. Even the word measure shares roots with mensis, the Latin word for month, also linked to the word menses, a woman's monthly cycle. When power shifted, so did time. The number 13 became cursed. Menstruation was shamed. Here we go with the blue gel. Lunar rites were hidden behind solar holidays. So if you think about the pagan holidays corresponding to now current holidays, it makes sense. So I love this line. The goddess's calendar wasn't destroyed. It was rebranded. So it's literally just what we have been talking about, like what we already know instinctively, ritualistically, just ancestral wisdom in our body, just not even necessarily wiped. Not everybody wants to wipe it. Like I'm not trying to say that everybody is always against us, but it's just not honored or even taught or even recognized in a way that we can say, okay, how does it make sense for us, right? Because it is a balance. Like we say bossing and we say babing because both are critical. We can't just lay around. I mean, it would be nice eating grapes all day, being fed and whatever, right? We need to do both. We live in a modern society, but just kind of forgetting that this was already figured out once. Kind of fun thing to remember and try to recultivate.
Absolutely, because I generally have about 13 periods a year, not 12. So it does make so much sense that at one point in time, this was just a natural honoring of how women's cycles worked, how like cyclical living was built into. It was just living. It was,
Yeah.
we call it cyclical living now, but it was just life. It was just the way that things were. And so this is a beautiful permission slip for us to reclaim how our bodies naturally operate and how we are designed to be operating within the context of those cycles. And so, I hope this gives you permission to determine, okay, well, what is the best thing for me during this part of my cycle? Is it via a certain type of birth control, or is it via a certain type of period care? I mean, so try some things out. Do your own research, because clearly everything has been patriarchally skewed so that we don't have access to the education that liberates us as women. And I like how this said what was it?
That it was rebranded.
Yeah. That line is so good.
It is. The goddess's calendar, it wasn't destroyed, it was rebranded.
Yeah. I feel like it's not just the goddess's calendar, too. I mean, it's just women. Women have been, like, men have tried to rebrand women into men.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna work.
No.
It's not working.
I don't think it is. I think that's why there's more pressure, because it is not working. Yeah. They're trying new ways because we're just going to keep popping back up. Speaking of popping up.
Yeah, in the next 2 weeks on September 18th, we are going to have our second Boss Less Babe More night, which is going to be themed bubbles, boundaries, and big dreams. And we would love to have you. There's going to be some awesome bossing and babing stations for you to interact with, to support you in creating healthy boundaries for yourself, but also leveling your business so that you can boss less and babe more. So come September 18th, it'll be at Hold Space Dayton from 6 to 9. There's free on-street parking. I'm going to attach the tickets in the description, so go ahead and get your tickets. But yeah, we would love to see you.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is the last conversation that we'll have around cyclical living, at least for now.
For now.
But stay tuned for this month, where we're going to be diving into topics around balance and harmony, which again is, we're always talking about balancing the bossing and babing.
Yeah.
But we're going to go a little bit deeper into this, especially in business and brand design. So stay tuned, give us a like, give us a subscribe, so that you can catch all those juicy, juicy conversations going forward. And until then, don't forget to boss less, babe more.